Hello again, lads. I welcome you again. In my last video, many of you were surprised by my decision, which I still think was a hell of one to make. However, we had many communists calling me out a moron, stupid, and insane. Thanks. They thought switching to this so-called Linux was what I should have done, and I'm here to tell you it's actually new/Linux, also to meet your demands. Sort of. Just like any operating system, we get the ISO and cook it into an USB stick. Disable the secure boot because, it's Linux, and here we are, the installation menu. Now, this Arch Linux thing doesn't give you anything really. So, I cancelled my program in socks order and shaved my beard, updated the system, and won time by skipping their endless documentation by just using a script to automate everything. And I let it cook. In the meantime, for those who are wondering what the hell Linux is, let me explain. Android is an operating system, iOS is an operating system, Windows is a... Windows, which I assume most of your computers are using, is an operating system. So do Linux. What makes it different is being completely free and open source, unlike the others. It can run on anything. Computers, phones, cars, microwaves, even... And most importantly, you can customize it to your heart's content. This lets people to create their own versions of Linux called distributions, and let's say there are many of them. They vary from the easy and user-friendly ones to the hardest operating system known to man, which is exactly what I've installed today. Arch Linux. For the sole purpose to know how well my gamer experience will go with it. I mean, it's what Steam Deck is running on, so how bad could it... Oh. It's done. Now, this Arch Linux thing is really hard to install. People are any percent speedrunning this shit. It requires you to set up and configure everything yourself, from disk partitioning, type, font, desktop environments, even emojis. But, with the script I've shown you earlier, it's pretty much accessible to everyone. But, you still need to do everything else the good old-fashioned way. The command line, which I used to install GPU drivers, video encoders, OBS, which took me an eternity to set up, Spotify, Discord, and Steam. And well, everything I needed at the time just worked. So, it was finally time for most of the games I own have no support for Linux. Frogor. Luckily, it's Valve. All you gotta do is click here, go down for a bit, and enable this option. Restart Steam, hopefully with no crashes, and voila! Every game now is ready to install even if it's not natively supported. But, how is that even possible? Proton is a compatibility layer to help Windows games run on Linux-based systems, developed by none other than Valve and some ventures. I mean, people who made wine. Which is what Proton is based on. But, what is a compatibility layer? Games are graphics, interactive graphics. And computer graphics can be made with these, graphics APIs, that are a set of tools provided for the inferior beings of society. Developers, to tell computer how to draw stuff. Let's take DirectX for example. I'm sure many of you have seen it before. It provides graphics so you can actually see the game, it also provides input so you can wander around the game, and sound so you can hear everything inside the game. It seems all good, but it's not. One, because it's made by Microsoft, shame. Anything you make with it would be exclusively available for Windows, and to make it run on Linux, we need a way to draw stuff on the screen on Linux, a way to get user input on Linux, and something that can play audio on Linux. The way it works on higher level is as follows. Say the game depends on DirectX and does three primal things. Listening to the player's input, plays audio, and draws stuff. What Proton and Wayland do is take those calls and respond with whatever the Linux side has to offer. Different names, same functionality. If the game wants to draw some texture, Proton takes the call and translates it with a translator, so that the graphics API understands what to do. If the game depends on an API available for both platforms, OpenGL for example, in that case, there is no need for a translator, resulting in less overhead and better performance. Now, Some of you would wonder, why not these dumb developers just use cross-platform tools? Good point. Mainly because this cross-platform thing is a scam and hard to maintain. Most of gamers use Windows, some graphic APIs outperform the others, and games in general do more than these three. Multiplayer games need networking, which is a pain. Interact with your file system to make save files, some need access to your system's kernel, and basically monitor everything you do to prevent Harvard drop-offs from cheating. With that knowledge, back to gaming. Thanks to Proton, I was able to load my Steam library. That was on my in which Red Dead Redemption 2 was installed. I had massive doubts about whether it's going to work or not. I held my breath and pressed the play button. Then, waited. Ah well, it launched. After an hour of compiling Vulkan shaders, I was in the Wild West. Though I didn't have any scientific exact measurements for performance, I can easily say the experience I had on Ultra settings was decent. The only noteworthy moment was this. It's when I realized I really have no idea how to use a mouse. And what was that? Oh, we're back. But, that doesn't look good. Yes, it didn't look good. The NTFS support I had working out of the box was no more after a good power outage. Average living in mountains experience. Despite that, I managed to fix it with a very simple utility tool. Yep, it happened again. Though this time, it didn't just pass by. My computer ended up with a grub rescue screen. What is that, you may be asking? I don't know. It's my nemesis, and I don't mess with it. And it means I lost the whole goddamn system. So, I had to redo everything. Burn the system image, do the installation, wait for the installation to finish, update GPU drivers, set up OBS, install the games, install Gamers Essentials, and this time, I didn't forget. Waifu. And Dark Theme. Back to gaming. I initially tried classic games on Steam that work just fine. They are light and use older versions of nowadays drivers, and most of which Proton has them covered. Ignore the fact that I died here. Proton-GE is a site where people share their experiences with certain games on Linux, so we can decide if it's worthy of trial or not. I didn't do that. I was randomly testing the games that came in mind. Oh my god, Paris. God, no. Get off of me, dude. You furry. Oh my god. Oh my god, Batman is going to save us all. Batman, please. Oh, that's one Batman. Well, let's talk about the games that I've tested. Celeste. This game has native support for Linux, and it doesn't really need Proton to run. And since it's all about platforming, jumping, dashing, more platforms, and more jumping, playing it with mouse and keyboard would be one of the 7 deadly sins. I plugged my PC controllers, made in China by the way, and both worked. While the native build worked exactly as expected, I forced Steam to launch the Windows build. And well, something here went south, resulted in this. Apparently this red textures issue is quite common. It surely bothers some, and some others really loved it. Oh. Oh. Shit. Okay, I didn't jump. I'm not familiar with using controllers. Oh. Oh. Fuck. You Okay. Okay, that was easy. First try, by the way. Next, Payday 2, a game that also took an eternity to launch, but hey, I ain't complaining. The game worked, and worked very well. I've noticed that the frame rates were capped to 75 for some time, but it was clearly set to 144 and VSync in game was disabled. I hate this guy. I assume the issue was either from Proton or some graphic driver option that I needed to tickle, and thanks to this program that had an option to do that exactly, and nicely. Once in a while I get this green flickering, which OBS didn't catch, so I'm going to simulate it for you. It happens only with games that uses OpenGL. Sometimes it lasts for a couple of seconds and let me move on with my day. Other times it keeps happening until my whole system crashes. In general, the game performed well. In most levels with mid difficulties, the frames were stable and high enough. However, in some other levels, it had dives to 30 on average. No good. Dude, the Russian Badger. The Russian Badger again. Oh, he's gone. Okay.
I don't know what this is, but it's kind of hot.
And something weird that I've noticed was lower hardware utilization, hence lower temperatures, and that sounds good. But it's not. Counter-Strike 2 is a game that squeezes both of CPU and GPU to get every possible ounce of performance, but here with Proton, it's chilling, and it's terrible. Even with the gamer settings, still very terrible. Okay. This phenomenon also occurred in another game that I've tested, Project Zomboid. Despite the frame rates were lower than what I usually get, and by usually I mean Windows, at least this time they were a little acceptable, given the fact that I enabled over 100 mods. It feels so good in here. I found many people online that had the same exact issue with other games seeking for help, and many gave potential fixes. So, naturally what I did was nothing. I mistakenly clicked here and kept grinding. I can't say the same about the next game we have. Fucking swallowed my CPU for absolute shit. The usage on minimum was 85%, with very low frame rates. Even with these moderately low settings, the game refused to simply get good. It didn't matter whether being alone and just chilling, or among a bunch of enemies. Whether I was watching God's beautiful blue sky, or being in the hell with the devil himself. While fighting some people led by a mysterious old German fella, or fighting for Hassan in the middle of the desert, with recording and without it, with lower or higher settings. Well, they made it worse. But the point is, the experience wasn't pleasant at all. It's not just that. If you have a basic idea on how games work, slow game means bad and slow, which can result into something like this.
Tossing a grenade! Throwing a grenade! Throwing a grenade!
Overall, it was fucking unplayable. Oh, he doesn't know. He doesn't know. In you?
Nope. Nope. Nope.
Okay. Oh, it's working. It's working. God bless, it worked. The best strategy on earth. I see how the Allies won the war. They kept their fucking heads down. Oh. Well, not for so long. Then it hit me. All the games I've shown you so far doesn't come with a real anti-cheat. If they do, it's just a user-level monitoring software. I wondered, what about games that uses anti-cheats that depend on the Windows kernel? If you can't already tell, Windows and Penguins are nothing alike. Surely, neither of those would work. Apparently, both BattlEye and EAC support Proton to an extent, and don't ask me about Vanguard. But not all games are included, only the ones their developers check this button, at least for BattlEye. I tried only the action survival parallel walking simulator game that depends on it. Well, DXVK, which translates DirectX to Vulkan, this time, unlike in Battlefield, was able to handle the game, resulting in a very seamless experience. Oh my god, it's so hard. Oh my god, the fear of Zeds. This game is so hard. It's so survival. Gotta run. Well, you know. Oh my god. The walk movement. I misgendered someone. Oh. Dude, I'm so dangerous that I can't even fight back. Oh, he's doing it. Wait. Then I got a little excited and went to try a third-party launcher people who loves modded servers generally use. It's available for Windows only. But, thanks to Wine, I was able to install it. And it didn't work. So, with all those games on Steam with Proton support, surely that's where gaming on Linux ends. Or is it? You see, I lied. Not really. The footage you've seen of Battlefield 1 wasn't the Steam version. In fact, I own the game only on EA app. On Linux. Yup. All thanks to Lutris, an open source project of a launcher of games launchers on Linux. It has support for GOG, EA, Epic Games, Steam, and Ubisoft. Getting it to work wasn't a breeze. I had to hack my way through some minor issues, and what fixed it was a simple system update. Classic. I've learned that you can use it to launch the Steam games you have. But, for me, it didn't work. I've noticed that it was making a ton of rejected requests to Steam, so I had the thought in mind that I need to set my profile to public. And yeah, that was the solution. Though I still don't see why would you choose it over Steam. Then, I tried Epic Games that also didn't work. It kind of did, but it froze the moment I logged in. It was compiling some shaders and blessed me with broken toast notifications. It was shit. So, it was time for an open source Proton-based launcher of games launchers. On Linux, I found this one called Heroic Games Launcher, which I honestly will recommend even if you are on Windows. It gives you a variety of options like choosing what Wine or Proton version to use. There is many of them, for a good reason. I used it to log into my Epic Games account, downloaded and tried Overcooked 2. Frankly, I was expecting this much of frames, and I got this much. The game absolutely cracked. Now, to recap. And you are... Oh. Hi. They call me the Brilliant Man. Okay, and how can I help you? Well, seeing you guys gaming and wasting time all day is kind of pathetic if you ask me. I mean, I game all day too, but you know, it's mainly factorial, it's basically math, ratios, logic, so you're a nerd. No, yes, you are. Maybe. You know, I have this platform that teaches people some nerdy stuff, so you can put it that way, I guess. Oh, that's cool. What is it all about? Well, I named it Brilléant. Brilléant. You named it after you, your name. Is that like your first or family name? I'm not answering that question, but anyways, it mainly teaches people math, engineering, physics, and science. The courses are designed to be fully interactive based on the FAFO theorem. This allows you to understand problems faster and better. And it's a method my employees at the lab had proven to be 6 times better. See? Told ya. You're a nerd. Is that your friend? Who? Him. Oh, that's...
Xorg.
He's been following the computer science course from my platform, Brilléant, and he's been into this programming and computer stuff ever since. And now, he thinks in code. Like, his brain is Ryzen 5, does he even understand what are we saying right now? I'm not sure about that. Check out the link down below to get more information about the learning materials Brilléant has to offer, and get a free month and 20% off your annual subscription. Now, for recap. Around 3 years ago when I tested these games, many of them didn't perform well or didn't even work, and many are not going to see the light of the day anytime soon. Good. I would say this is why this portion of people wouldn't be able to do a full switch. But if you have time to try if it suits your needs, go for it. Me, for now, not really. Oh, also, my opinion didn't and will never ever change. Alternatives are full of shit. And yeah, I love both and hate both. Hope you learned something and enjoyed watching. And that's it.